the devotion. Today we're looking at Proverbs 24 and praying for Eddie and Melinda Bryan. Proverbs 24 has some verses that have directed me a lot in my life. Just want to mention them. That's not really where I'm going to focus on. But chapter 24, beginning with verse 10, where it says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. And then it goes on to talk about how we are to deliver those who are drawn to death and hold back those stumbling to the slaughter. And it goes on for a couple more verses. And I've often thought about those verses, for instance, with taking a stand for the unborn who could not defend themselves. And sometimes when you take those stands, the adversity comes along. When you stand for what you feel like is godliness and righteousness, you can be attacked where people say some vicious things about you, lies about you, accusations of how you hate people and this and that. But I've often used this as a guidance in my life. As God's people, we are to be gentle and kind, but we are to have a warring spirit. We are to war for that which is right and fight against that which is wrong. So anyway, if you didn't pay a lot of attention, I hope you'll go back and look at that, verses 10 through 12. But I want to focus on this verse today. Verse 16. For a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked shall fall by calamity. And I'm basically going to focus on this part that says, for a righteous man or woman may fall 7 times and rise again. That word fall, it covers a wide spectrum of things. It could be just a physical fall that you trip and fall down. But there can also be the indication even of a fall spiritually, if you will. It talks about falling even into a bed of affliction, something that is not comfortable. And I think it's important that we talk about this. Let me just flip over to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12 quickly, where it says, therefore let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. I've said many times that one of the great virtues of the Christian life should be that of humility. Now, certainly it should be our heart that we not go into moral failure, that we build barriers around ourselves, that we do not go near places that could cause us harm spiritually and otherwise. But there can be a real danger of somebody taking the attitude, that would never, ever happen to me, when we look at somebody else and put them down because of the place that they have gone to. That's kind of what Peter did. Even though the rest of them may deny you, not me, Lord, will Peter fail. But the wonderful thing is it does not end there. Though the righteous man may fall 7 times, and it says, and rise again, some translations say he will rise again. That is, again, so much the message of the gospel of God's mercy. It's not that we make excuses for sin, but it is the picture that if a brother or a sister falls, we're not called to shoot our wounded. We are called to help lift them again. Now, I understand there are some times that people do not want to repent. They choose to fall and continue. It seems like they want to go that way. But we must recognize that as we stand and we walk faithful, it is by the strength of God. And we must in humility rely upon God's grace. But I am so thankful for the truth that if I fall, if you fall, there is a God who can and will and wants to lift us back up. When I think about that word, though we fall, yet he will rise again, Uh, I think about resurrection power. See, that's the life, isn't it? That's where our power comes from, resurrection life. And if you have walked with the Lord very long, there has probably been times that you feel like you have really fallen. And it may not be just this serious sin issue. It may just be that in your inner person you feel as dry as dust. You feel dead. You feel like there's no life. You feel like you've lost connection with the Lord. You feel like you have fallen from where you used to be. But the great news of the gospel is that we serve a God of resurrection power. And I've experienced it many times where I have hit these low points, but God in His goodness has brought me back up again. When you see a brother or sister that has fallen, let's ask the Lord to give us His heart instead of condemning and criticizing, seeking to bring them back up, to rise again. What a wonderful promise, and an encouragement to walk in humility, and an encouragement that when we're struggling, to know that our God is aware of it, and He desires to lift us. Hey, isn't it incredible what He did with Peter? Not me, Lord. And boy, does he fall. But yet the Lord chooses him to preach the message at Pentecost. You talk about rising after a fall.